Hello, welcome back to another Tabletop Talk. I thought I'd take a few minutes to talk about my current project and what I've been doing lately. I know that the videos have been a little sparse, but I've been very active and trying to figure out, continue my journey on what I like to do and not do in my gaming universe. So, for starters, I thought I would show my Stratomatic computer screen. I always like watching, looking at other people's, whether it's their tabletop setups or how they have their computer set up. So that is one thing about Stratomatic PC baseball game, is that it is tweakable. It's not terribly intuitive in some ways, but once you figure out how to do it, you can certainly, do some changes to suit it to how you like it. So this is kind of how I have mine set up. I know I have bits and pieces of this when I'm doing my stream or my videos of a game, but I don't know that I've ever shown it in all its glory. So that's kind of what it looks like there. So I have already rolled the last out, but before I recorded it, I thought I would show kind of what my screen setup looks like. So as you can see, I've got been over the years collected some decent ballpark pictures of a lot of stadiums. So I always thought this was a cool one of Crosley Field at night. And I have a version of this in the day, and I've got some for Forbes Field and Sportsman. So they're not actual pictures, but they're pretty good paintings or drawings of the ballpark. So I kind of like this. I think it looks nice. And then I was able to get the ballparks, or not the ballparks, the cards of the players. I think let's see. Let me find out where I got those from, because I forgot. Let's see. I think that came from those baseball cards. Strato Shack is where I got those. Strato SHACK, and so I have downloaded those for all the seasons that I have. So I think those are kind of cool. Get back to my thing here. So anyway, just thought I'd show what my screen looks like. One thing I haven't been figured out how to do is to make the card image of the actual player card, not their baseball card, but their Strat card, how to make that any bigger. As you can see, I've got a little bit of real estate there left I could play with to make the images bigger, but I can't figure out how to make the cards, the Strat cards, any bigger. And I would like to do that. I know that when you mess with the fonts for the lineup, especially, they no longer match up nice and evenly like they do. Let's see you can see that. Yeah. So over here where you got the lineup, that's the default font size, and when I change that, then all of a sudden, Frank Robinson will take up 2 lines, or and they just don't match. So I've kind of left it that way. With my eyes, I would prefer to make that bigger, but again, where I'm currently at, I haven't figured out how to do that. And then again, these Strat cards, I can't figure out how to make them any bigger than they are. So I'll work around it. So as you can see, I've got the cards, which are a really cool feature. The centerpiece is the field, which I like, and got my players, and I've managed everything to kind of get it where I like it and tweak it as I go. Then here's my play-by-play, obviously, and the dice roll, and then I do like the so far today. And then here you have the ballpark, effects for the ballpark. So, and this is obviously their stats for real life, the replay, and what they did in the game. This is the pitcher against the batter. So kind of how I have it set up. I do the best column. I like that because when I'm rolling the dice, it kind of lets me know a little bit ahead of time if something's probably going to be good. Of course, like here on Freeze's pick card, you can see, like, 2 is his good column, but right there in the middle of that is a 2-8, which is a pop out to short. So, one of the beauties and charms of Stratomatic is those outs in the middle of all that base hit goodness. So anyway, I thought I'd show that. So the replay I'm currently doing is 1961 Cincinnati Reds. So talk about that just a little bit for those who might be interested. So as you know, the last couple of years I'm a Strat player from a long time ago. Played off and on, as you have kids and things like that, and trying to get your career going. You don't have as much time, and now that the kids are grown, I've kind of gotten back into it the last few years, even though I never quit completely. I just, it was off and on. So having been a Strat guy and watching people like Dave Gardner and Red Sox fan and guys like that, you see these other games in action, Kurt Berglund, guys like that. And so I just was curious as to what I might be missing. So as a lot of the videos on my channel have shown, I've delved into other baseball games, computer and cards and dice, other sports, some football and basketball, some hockey, some boxing. And so all those games are great. I can't say that there's really any game that I've tried that I just despise. But after having, experimented, still the one I come to and play the most is Stratomatic Baseball. And so having spent, the last couple of years experimenting and not really completing much, I've decided that, it's time to settle down and start playing some serious Stratomatic Baseball. And so I started this particular project on January the 7th, and today is February the 19th. And this game here before us is game number 48. And so, I'm doing pretty well. I figure, a game, averaging probably a game a day, maybe just a little bit more on the weekends. I don't like to play too many games because I know it's kind of nerdy, but I will think about the game, that happened the day before when I'm looking forward to being able to play the next game when I come home. And so if I have a little extra time, I will, get out one of my other sets and just play a one-off game. Like, the other day I was thinking about Kirby Puckett, and, so I played some 87 Minnesota Twins. Yesterday I pulled out my 1953 set and played opening day of the St. Louis Browns against the Tigers, which 53 was the last year of the St. Louis Browns before they moved to Baltimore to become the Orioles. So, just little one-offs like that. But trying to get in at least one game a day of my 61 Cincinnati Reds. This is the first pennant they won since 1940. They did have a pretty good team in 56, which I would like to replay sometime. But at any rate, so I want to buckle down and get something completed. And so this is what I'm working on. And so far, so good. So I just wanted to discuss that. So here you can see we've lost our second game in a row. I'll go ahead and enter what Freeze did. He rolled a 4-10, which will be a ground out to McMillan, and that will end the game. So as you can see, the Reds were shut out by Carl Willie of all people. He's 6-12 with a 383 that year, but on any given day, so he pitched a good game. The Reds committed 4 errors, which I think is the most we've committed in any game this year so far. So we've lost 2 in a row. We got a 4-game set with Milwaukee, and then we go on a pretty good road trip. This is Tuesday, June the 6th, so I'm working on my 3rd month. We're through April and May and the beginning of June. So, again, looking to get this finished. So, thought I would kind of poke around a little bit and talk about that. So, this is the box score. Again, the Reds shut out. Bob Perkey pitched a good game, as you can see there. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 0 earned run. But unfortunately, he was the benefit of poor offense and poor defense today. So we'll get out of that. So one thing about Strat computer game that I really love is their stat package. So again, you can make some legitimate arguments that the program is outdated and could do much better, and all those things are true. But once you learn it, it is functional, and it does a good job of what it does. So, we'll start with some league stats here. So as you can see, it looks like our good friend San Francisco beat the Phillies in yesterday's action, because now we're in June the 7th. So as you can see, they won, so we're 2 games behind, still in second place. Looks like we're 1 game off of real life. We had 129 at this point. You can see that right here, which I kind of like that. That's a cool feature where you can see where you were at that point in the season. That's kind of a nice added touch. The Giants are 3 games better, so as a result, we are 2 games behind them. The Dodgers are 2 games worse. They were actually in first place, and we were 1 game behind them, looks like, or maybe a game and a half. But they are 2 out. Milwaukee and St. Louis are coming in the middle there. And, of course, Pittsburgh, who won the National League pennant and the World Series against the mighty Yankees in 1960, are not faring nearly as well this year so far, and they ended up 75 and 79, so they did not have a good year, and they're 2 games under what they were really doing at this point. And then you have Philadelphia and lowly Chicago pulling up the rear. So up until these last 2 games, the Reds have been really good at home, and I think we still have the best record at home, looks like. Well, no, I take that back. San Francisco's 19-8 at home. Cincinnati is 17-8. So before these last 2 losses, we were 17-6. 4-6 in our last 10. So it looks like the hottest team in the National League right now is those Giants, who have won 3 and 8-2 in their last 10. The worst team right now is Philadelphia, who've lost 5 in a row, 2-8, and they have been playing the Giants. So hopefully the Giants will get a more powerful opponent. One thing I really enjoy looking at is the newspaper-style recap. So it kind of gives you the standings, and then it gives you some league leaders. So right now, the 2 guys that are tearing up the league mainly is Frank Robinson for my Reds. Orlando Cepeda for the Giants is just killing it as well. So as you can see, Cepeda is leading the National League with a 373 average. Him and Robinson are tied with 19 RBIs, and they're both tied, or 19 home runs rather, and they're both tied with 49 runs batted in. So those guys are definitely MVP candidates. Looks like in wins, Don Drysdale, looks like he just won his 8th, at least not too long ago. So he's got 8 wins, and then Jim O'Toole for my Reds has 7. Koufax has 7. Mike McCormick for the Giants has 7. Saves, Jim Brosnan, who did not get a save in last game, has got 8 for the year, however. Our ERA leader is Bob Gibson with 207. Strikeouts, you got Koufax at 82. He's quite a bit ahead of anybody. The top 3 are Dodgers, so those Dodgers are starting to get into that mid-60 form that they were famous for. Koufax and Drysdale were not Koufax and Drysdale yet, but they had decent seasons. And then Maury Wills, of course, in 62 will break a stolen base record, but he's leading the National League with 15 right now. Dick Stewart, Mr. Strange Glove, has got 15 game current hitting streak. So it shows you yesterday's scores. It also gives you today's probable starters, which is kind of cool. So you can see for this next game with the Met, or the Braves rather, we got I think it's what is his name? Notabart. He is going. He's 3-2 with a 376. Hunt for the Reds is 3-4 with a 556. He was kind of a rookie flash in the pan in 61. He started out like gangbusters, and then toward the end of the year, the wheels kind of fell off, and he never really recovered. So obviously, he's more of a roller coaster in my replay. So He wasn't, he started out kind of rough. He had a pretty good stretch of like 3 or 4 games, and then his last game wasn't good at all. So he's due up next. Looks like the Giants still have the Phillies at home, and then Koufax is up against Pittsburgh. Francis getting his first start of the year. And then so it's got that, and then you go down and it gives you the best performances of yesterday, which is kind of fun. So you can see Tommy Davis for the Dodgers had a couple hits, 3 RBIs. Felipe Alou for the Giants had 2 hits, 4 RBIs, and a home run. Looks like the pitchers yesterday, Hobby for that. It might be Hobie. If it's phonetically correct, it's Hobby because there's 2 B's there. But at any rate, he pitched a shutout against the Cardinals. And, of course, Willie pitched that shutout against us. Perky, he's on that good performance list, even though he took the loss. And then you got another cool thing is who's hot and who's not in the last 10 days, which is kind of fun to look. So you can see, again, Cepeda is on fire. 5 home runs, 381 in his last 10. So, one advantage to not playing too fast and playing a game, per day or 2 at the most if it's a weekend, is that I can kind of, it's kind of like reliving the season a little more. It's a little slower, but again, this is just how I prefer it. If you prefer to knock out, 10 games a day, more power to you, but I'm finding that I enjoy, 1 game at a time, and then kind of spend some time going over the stats and kind of, like you would in a real life season. And again, not to say I won't play a couple games on a Saturday if I have the time, but I don't typically like to do more than that. But Frank Robinson has got 4 home runs. Dick Stewart for Pittsburgh is on fire. He's got 5 home runs in the last 10 days with 361 average. So pitchers, looks like I know Warren Spahn started out the year pretty poorly. We beat up on him pretty good earlier in Milwaukee, and he was on this list. He's not there now. Robin Roberts, his season fell completely apart in real life, and obviously it's panning out that way here. So he's 0-2, but he does bounce back and have some good years with Baltimore. But this year he just is kind of fell off. Blasting Game is hitting a robust 119 in his last 10. So anyway, that's a report I really like. I kind of like looking at the newspaper, which is what it says, and that's kind of what it does, which is enjoyable and fun for me. And then you got your grand totals, which kind of I always like looking at this to see, how we're coming in real life. I know that the league ERA in National League in 1961 was 4.03. So we were at like a 4 almost 4.50. So we're down to 4.26. So it's starting to get a little bit closer to reality. The Reds are overperforming on home runs substantially. Their pitching is not quite as good, but we're third. But again, the league overall, the hitting is a bit high. So again, you can kind of see the big bird's eye picture here of everybody. We've got 42 errors, so that's good enough. Tied for second, even though we had 4 last game. Looks like Philadelphia, of all people, is the best at 41. I know doubles we got 91, which is substantially more. It looks like the next team would be the Giants at 84, and we did lead the league in doubles in real life. So that's kind of a fun report. It kind of lets you see, a bird's eye, and then you got your league leaders here, which gives you the top 10 a little bit more in depth than that newspaper report does. So we got Hank Aaron with 16 doubles, Veda Pinson at 15. Awesome Veda Pinson, really good player. You got your home runs there, runs batted in, walks, all the, and you can actually in the options up here you can add or take away. If you wanted to narrow this down and not have as many of these. So it's very customizable. Once you figure out how to do it and where it's at, you can do a lot of things here to make this how you want it, which is kind of cool. It's even got your left and righty splits, who's hitting the most home runs versus lefties. Your X basis chance, which I kind of like. Looks like blasting game for the Reds is second, so 824. So basically, as I understand it, that's when he gets an X chance, how often does he prevent a hit and not make an error? And so you can see blasting game is doing pretty well, which is good because he's actually a 3 range. So he's, getting some rolls, having a good defensive year so far. At first base, you can see Coleman there is not, he's 4th, but at 520, that's not great for an X percentage. McMillan, of course, he's known for his glove. He's leading the league at short. Looks like we've had Cardenas at short, Casco, so they've split evenly, so they're not on the list because I don't think they've had enough chances to participate here. Shows you the catchers, how they're doing on the opponent's steals. So it looks like Dalrymple for Philadelphia has not been stopping very many people as they've had 19 stolen bases against him. So, again, stuff like this is just, I love the cards on the table, but I also love the benefit of the computer because obviously if I was doing the stats by hand, I wouldn't have this much availability of the stats, and if I did, it would take me years and years. So, for me, the two together is working out great. I get the benefit of the tangible cards and dice, rolling my own dice, looking at the cards, and then I also get the advantage of them, adding the stats for me and putting them in this awesome package to where that I can peruse them and, enjoy that. So you can also, you got team stats. So we'll go to that. So we'll get Cincinnati. So you just click on the team you want, go back to statistics, and hit team stats. And there's more ways to get to this than that. But it gives them their overall record, home, road versus lefties, righties, what they are in extra innings, one-run games, how they're doing their last 10, longest winning streak, longest losing streak, double plays turned, triple plays, most hits, least hits, how many runs they scored. So we've been shut out twice now. We've shut out our opponent twice. Here you got a really good, easy way to see what your record is against other teams. So as you can see, at this point versus the Milwaukee Braves, we are 4-5. We've done the best versus the Cubs at 7-1, and I think probably, we've got the only two teams. Well, the Dodgers were 2-4 against them. We've done the worst against them, and of course the Giants and the Braves have done pretty well against us. And then you got your primary stats. So here you can kind of look at your team picture and see who's got what. And I always enjoy looking at this and kind of seeing, what we look like as a team, who's doing what. So, again, we've got Perky with 6 wins, Jay with 6 wins, O'Toole at 7. There are 3 main starters. Hunt's our 4th starter. He's not done so great. Maloney, who is, will go on to have some good years with the Reds. I think he's in his 2nd year, but maybe last year he didn't have enough stats to qualify for rookie. But at any rate, he's getting some starts here. He's got 4 starts so far. And looks like Hook has started 3, and he's not done very well. So, anyway, that's the primary stats. And, again, there's a lot here. You can do versus lefty-righty, secondary stats, things like sacrifice bunts, things like that. So, you can really get into some things here. Daily log, what the score was, who won, who lost, who got a save, what your record was, what position. You can kind of see the big picture of the year. So another thing I like to do is to look at, we'll look at Jim O'Toole. So you hit him, and then you go back up here and hit statistics and hit player stats. And then you can see, all his starts. And then if you go to player detail report, this is really cool. So you can see what his overall record is, what he's done versus lefties, righties, what he's done as a starter, as a reliever, broken up against individual teams, his record and what the average against them is, what he's done at home, road, day and night per month. So this is just great. When I got a pitcher coming up and I, don't know what they've done, you can kind of see, oh yeah, he's 2-0 with with a 1.0 8 ERA versus the Phillies, for example. And so I really like this. And then it's got streaks and highlights. But for me, the player stats, this player detail report is really cool. Because you can really get some cool breakdowns. They got the Saber metrics, which I'm not a fan of, but they're there if you like them. And so anyway, lots of stats. And so you can really, if you're a stat person, you can really enjoy and see what how the season's breaking down. It's even got their pitching here. So anyway, so those are some of the things there I like to look at. Let's see what else we got. So I've got that set up to where these are the next automatically comes up. So I've got the red set to manual and then everybody else to auto. I've got it set to where when you hit play day here, it will automatically play the games, and I have it set to where I don't see the scores. And then when I'm playing the game, the out-of-town scoreboard is up on the upper right-hand corner, so I can. And as I understand it, it kind of follows along where you're at. So it's not real life time. So like if you're on the West Coast, it's not going to be like, apply the East Coast. If you're in the ninth inning, it's going to be in the ninth inning and your out-of-town scoreboard, as I understand it. So that's kind of cool. I'm already, as I'm playing my game, keeping an eye on the Giants and the Dodgers to see how they're doing. And so, I don't know the score ahead of time because I've got it set to where I don't see that. And so, that's kind of fun to kind of watch the other scores. And as I get closer to the end of the season and, get in a pennant race, hopefully with these Reds, obviously wanting to see the other scores would be even more fun and exciting. And so anyway, that's kind of how I have it set up. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. One thing I know, trying to get to box scores can be a challenge. Let me see if I can figure that. If I, like that last game, I didn't, on my scorebook, I didn't, because I was doing this video, I didn't actually get the score. I know one way I can do it is if you go to the pitcher, that was Perky, it should have, if you go to Perky and just double click on his name, go to stats, I know this is hyperlink, so I should be able to get the box score. But I know sometimes it's not accurate. It won't give you the right game. But yeah, this is accurate. So there you can see that's one way to get the box scores. There's probably a way to get to it other than that. But that gives you, that's one way to get to it. I do like these little summaries. They do an excellent job at this. You would think something like this that was computer generated would tend to be a little redundant and not feel natural, but it's not real in depth, but it seems to be very varied to where it's interesting. So I like reading those, and I save those on my box scores because it does a good job. I mean, it's surprisingly good to me. But anyway, you can that's how you get to the box scores. Now from here, you can get to any box score that you want. So yeah, that'd probably be the easiest way. Is just remember who pitched it, and then from here I can. Looks like pretty much every box score in the league is in here. Yep. So let's see. This is Milwaukee. So that's one way. I'm sure there's a better way to get to it than that, but that's one way. And then when you double click on it, you get this. You can see their card and any pictures that you might have. Let's see what else we got. Okay, it kind of gives you the results versus lefties and righties, their ratings, any notes you want to add, which is something I've never done, but that might be fun. It gives you their actual stats versus their replay, if you're interested in that. And then here you can kind of see kind of the same thing. And then it does, like I said, show all their appearances. And if you double-click that, it will give you the box score. However, I have seen, again, where it's not accurate, it won't give you the right box score. But I guess if you're in the ballpark and you know what date it was on, you can take it, figure out which one you need from there. And then also, if you hit the teams, it'll give you, some replay stats down here at the bottom. You can see. Same way if you hit a player, it'll show you their real stats and their replay stats. So that's another place that you can see their stats. So, so again, for the longer I play with the Strat, the more I like it. Again, they could update it and do a lot better with it, but for what it does, once you learn it, and again, the stat package is just great. Once you figure out how to navigate around, you can really enjoy your replay and be able to like, again, looking in the newspaper, or if you was following a real life replay, in 1961, probably actually do better than you could in 1961, because we didn't have Baseball Reference back then. So my plan is to keep working on this. I haven't really figured it out. I guess if I'm doing about a third of the way through, and I'm at it like a month and a half, so maybe 4 or 5 months to be able to finish this, and I'm really aimed and determined to finish this. I've done enough experimenting, enough playing around and dabbling to where I've got a pretty good grasp of what I enjoy, and so now I want to do some gaming, get some projects completed. And for me, my favorite project is replaying a season. So hopefully I can get the Reds and the pennant and take on those mighty 1961 Yankees. And so occasionally I'll do a game on the channel. I'm sure people wouldn't be interested in every game, but as an interesting one comes along, and as we get further into the season and more into the pennant stretch at the end, I will try to get some of those up, and already thinking about what's next. So I still have a pretty good chunk of the 1920 White Sox replay completed, so I might finish that one. Another option is the 1962 Reds. They had a better record in 1962. However, they ended up third because the Giants and the Dodgers were just phenomenal in 1962, even though the Reds had a better record in 62 than they did in 61. So that would be fun. The 62 season has the addition of the Mets and the Astros in their first year, so that would be enjoyable for me to just roll right into the 1962 Reds and play that. I've got some other things. Oddly enough, I would be interested in doing the 2007 Devil Rays. They went from being perennial stinkies from when they opened to 98 to actually winning the American League pennant. The 2008 Rockies, their only World Series, I believe. That would be a fun one to replay. I don't prefer a lot of offense, and of course Colorado Rockies definitely are offensive, but still that would be enjoyable. Again, the 53 Braves, their first year in Milwaukee would be fun. I've even dabbled around with the 53 Browns. Now whether I could get through a whole season, they lost 100 games, but that was their last year in St. Louis, so that would be kind of enjoyable. That would be an option. So again, I've been blessed to be able to get lots of seasons, and so I've got lots of options. Those are a few that are on my mind, and obviously as I finish this, I'm sure other ones will come to mind that I might try. So it's fun having options, and so I'm thankful that I do have that. But anyway, I just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of share my Strat game layout on my PC, and again, I like seeing other people's layouts, and talk a little bit about how my 1961 Reds replay was going, and where I'm headed with that. And as usual, I always enjoy hearing what you all are doing, what you're working on. I envy these guys who are really have buckled down and getting some serious replay games in. Or whatever, what ifs, whatever you're doing, these guys that really play, that's where I'm at this point. So, there are not going to be as many openings and new games and first looks. So I apologize for that. But you know, like I said from the very beginning, my whole point of this channel is just to share my little corner of the sports sim universe, and you know, just share what I'm doing, where I'm at, and that's currently where I am at. So anyway, I appreciate it very much, and I will see you next time.